Tansei, I'm Krisanachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. Samuel Bird, the 14-year-old boy from Paul Band in Alberta, has been missing in Edmonton since June 1st. His mother is now speaking out, hoping that more people will come forward to police for information on where her son is. Bird says her son Samuel Bird left to visit at a friend's house on June 1st in the Kenora neighborhood in West Edmonton. He was last seen leaving his friend's house on foot to visit another person he knew, but he never came home. Bird says when Samuel leaves the house, he always messaged his mom to tell her where he is. Bird also says that Samuel was always on social media, and since June 1st, he hasn't been online at all. Samuel's little sister's birthday has also just passed, and Bird says he would never miss her birthday. Bird also feels that Samuel may have gotten involved with the wrong friends and is worried for his safety.
Samuel, if you are just hiding, please just come home. Just call mom, call us, anybody, just to let us know that you're okay. My kids are taking it really, really hard, especially his younger sister, Emily, and I worry about my mom, and like I just take it like day by day, more like minute by minute. Sometimes I'm okay, and then sometimes I'm not.
A man has been shot and another man has been arrested in a shooting in a First Nation in New Brunswick. Last Saturday, New Brunswick RCMP responded to a report of a shooting in Tobek First Nation at around 3:20 a.m. When Mounties arrived, they found a 32-year-old man suffering from a gunshot wound. The man was taken to hospital with serious life-threatening injuries. A man from the First Nation in connection to the shooting was located and arrested later that day. The 27-year-old was later released pending a future court date. RCMP did not say what charges the man is facing. If anyone has information regarding this incident, you are asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Tobek First Nation is located just 34 kilometers south of Grand Falls. First Nation ancestral remains have been found at the construction site of a parking lot located next to the Ontario Power Generation's new headquarters in Oshawa, Ontario. According to Ontario Power Generation, or OPG, a bone fragment was found on July 3rd during archaeological work at the construction site. The Durham police later determined the bone fragment to be of ancestral remains. The OPG says it is now working closely with the local First Nation community and authorities to ensure a thorough and culturally respectful investigation is done. For now, construction work at the site has been on hold since April 10th. In a joint statement, 4 First Nations in Ontario say the parking lot is the location of a historic site known as the Scugog Carrying Place. In a statement by Alderville Mississaugas of Scugog Island, Hiawatha, and Curve Lake First Nations, they said, "It is with deep frustration and upset that we note contractors undertook these excavations and soil piling, seemingly without the information of an archaeological assessment. This burial site has been desecrated and our communities are grieving. We believe there is a high probability that additional ancestors' remains will be found at this site." APTN's Annette Francis will have more on this story later this week. RCMP Major Crimes in Saskatchewan is investigating a sudden death in the rural municipality of Beaver River, located northwest of Meadow Lake. Last week on Friday, July 11th, at around 1:30 p.m., Pierceland RCMP received a report of a sudden death at a rural property in the RM of Beaver Creek. At the time, local firefighters were responding to a structure fire on the property, and when they arrived, they found a deceased female. She has been identified as 25-year-old Juanita Wapistaquan from Big Island Lake Cree Nation. Her family has been notified, and RCMP are now hoping to speak with anyone who had contact with Wapistaquan on July 10th and 11th. If anyone has information that can help RCMP with their investigation, you are asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. The Upper Silmitkameen Indian Band in British Columbia is asking for the public's help in identifying a suspect and pickup truck after their beloved hand-carved statue was stolen last Tuesday morning. Princeton RCMP are investigating after the theft of this wooden mountain goat that belongs to the community. According to RCMP, the carving was stolen at around 2 a.m. last Tuesday morning from the Chichuea Community Hall in the adjoining town of Headley. Security video shows two suspects arriving at the hall in an older Ford F-150 pickup truck towing a wooden cargo trailer. The truck may be dark blue or black, and the Ford truck could be between a 2009 to 2014 model with a XTR trim package and chrome wheels. If anyone knows who stole the carving, you are asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers. Manitoba's Chief Medical Examiner John Younes has called for inquests into the deaths of 7 men who died in correctional institutions between 2020 and 2021. 5 out of the 7 died by suicide in 2020 at the Stony Mountain Institution just north of Winnipeg. Younes is also calling for an inquest into the death of William Amo, who was in custody when he died. APTN Sierra Bettens reports.
Between March and December 2020, 39-year-old Adrian Young, 25-year-old Patrick Eaglestick, 32-year-old Farron Rowan, 36-year-old Kurt Harper, and 38-year-old Melvis Owen died by suicide at the Federal Stony Mountain Institution just outside Winnipeg. On Monday, the province notified media that Manitoba's Chief Medical Examiner, John Younes, has called for inquests into their deaths. Inquests are also being called for 36-year-old Jesse Thomas, who died from a drug overdose while incarcerated at Stony Mountain on November 19, 2021, and 45-year-old William Amo. Amo, an Anishinaabe man from Seguin First Nation, died on February 14, 2021, after an altercation with several guards at the Headingley Provincial Jail. Amo's death was ruled a homicide. However, last September, Provincial Court acquitted Robert Jeffrey Morden, the guard who was charged in relation to Amo's death. Amo's family launched a civil suit against the province in February 2023. Their lawyer, Corey Sheffman, says the family has been waiting on an inquest to move forward.
The longer we go from William's death to an inquest, the less people are going to remember and the less relevant recommendations might be. The number one priority for William's family is to prevent what happened to him from happening to anyone else.
While he says swift action is necessary, he's also concerned about the 7 inquests being combined into one case.
It's important that we not bring together dissimilar cases where the result of that is going to be that the outcomes of those inquests will be watered down.
He says inquests will allow for more of the truth to come out and for recommendations to be made.
No one is going to be found guilty for anything at the inquest. That's not what the inquest is about. And so it's a really important opportunity to talk about policy changes, to talk about what went wrong and how to prevent it from happening again.
APTN reached out to Manitoba's Chief Medical Examiner for comment, but did not receive a response by airtime. Sierra Bettens, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
The pilot of a helicopter has died after his aircraft crashed yesterday afternoon just outside the community of Bachoko in the Northwest Territories. At around 12 p.m. local time yesterday, RCMP were called to a downed aircraft approximately 1.5 kilometers from Highway 3 near Bachoko. They found the pilot, who was alone, with injuries. CPR was quickly administered, but the pilot later died from his injuries. RCMP has given their condolences to the victim's family, and APTN News will continue to follow this story later this week. The Niwo Yutina Friendship Center in Regina is helping people in the city connect with their Indigenous roots. That story when we come back. Plus, here's a preview of what Chris Stewart is working on.
I'm Chris Stewart. The Kiiwin Cree Nation in Alberta celebrated their powwow yesterday in Edmonton, over 200 kilometers from their home. And this was a way to give off-reserve people a chance to take part.
This is so neat to see that Kihiwin is putting something for urban people, because there's a lot of people that live in a city from the reserve and they don't come around to the reserve, and so this is awesome.
coming up on the APTN National News.
Welcome back. Last Friday marked 35 years since the 1990 siege of Kanesatake began, and every year a commemoration is held for that siege. But for the first time, a gathering was held in Montreal with representatives of both Kanesatake and its sister community, Kahnawake. And as APTN Savannah Craig reports, land back was a major theme this year.
They want people to get hurt over a golf course. The Native people are fed up with being pushed around and our land taken.
35 years has passed since the 1990 siege on Kanesatake, when the federal government sent 4,000 soldiers into the Mohawk communities of Kanesatake and Kahnawake. After a blockade formed in Kanesatake to prevent the neighboring town of Oka from building a golf course on part of Kanesatake's land known as the Pines, which included Kanien'kehá:ka burial grounds.
We're not going to forget it. And it's not something to forget because it's not fixed.
A commemoration was held in downtown Montreal to remember the 78-day standoff.
It's not a celebration for us, for me anyways, because Marcel Lemay was killed for a golf course. You know, a man lost his life. So for me, it's a commemoration. Especially considering that we were shot at and were almost killed by the Sûreté du Québec.
The commemoration is an annual event held in Kanesatake, but it's the first time one was held in Place du Canada in downtown Montreal, where more than 100 people gathered.
Coming to Montreal, we thought would be a bigger voice, a bigger space to maybe call attention, have some calls to action, and and help us to move forward in Gunnesadage.
Wanda Gabriel was a young mother at the time of the siege. Her cousin, Ellen Gabriel, was the spokesperson at the time. She says the defending of Kanien'kehá:ka land didn't conclude in 1990.
How are we going to stop the land theft? Because they keep going. You know, they're relentless.
Gabriel says Gunnesadage continues to be threatened by land grab.
We're not out of the woods yet, and we still have people who want to develop. We have the, niobium mine that people want to reopen.
This is Mohawk land!
Former AFN-QL Regional Chief Ghislain Picard says what happened in 1990 was impactful for all Indigenous people.
The issue at hand back in 1990 is still very much the same issue today. It's an issue regarding lands, and to me, that's probably the kind of message that this commemoration has to carry. How do we go about, settling issues that have been, long-standing for decades?
Some here today are not just commemorating 35 years since 1990, but they're also demanding these calls to action to be implemented, some of which include upholding UNDRIP, establishing a community healing fund, and land back.
Another call to action is, for me, it's such a big event that happened in this country in 1990, and it's not in the history books. It's not in Quebec's history books, it's not in Canada's history books, it's not even in our own history books in the community, and I'd love to see it in our history books so that people can know and understand the implication of what happened.
And the original dispute has yet to be resolved.
The land dispute that has been going on for over 300 years and has not been resolved 35 years later, I think it's really important for people to realize that and understand that.
Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Montreal.
The Niwo Yotina Friendship Center in Regina, Saskatchewan is well known for helping those most in need. But aside from offering life-saving resources in Regina, they are also helping people in the city get connected to the Indigenous culture and knowledge only available outside city limits. CTV's Mick Fable has that story.
I'm going to cut this one in half, actually.
Staff and clientele of the Niwo Yotina Friendship Center took a field trip out of Regina to learn how to cut and smoke moose meat. The group of about a dozen met on Standing Buffalo Dakota Nation, where the process has been an annual tradition going back hundreds of years.
It's important for the urban setting to learn these things, because there's a lot of the urbans really want to learn the traditional way of life, right? So by having this type of group and bringing them here is a warm feeling.
The Niwo Yotina Friendship Center has been offering this type of programming for a number of years, getting the people they serve connected and learning Indigenous culture and practices. For Tiffany Redmond, it's a full circle moment, teaching others what was once taught to her.
It has really helped me in my life to reconnect with the land and our traditions, and I want to be able to pass that feeling along to other people.
The Friendship Center staff were also getting in on the learning.
Growing up, I didn't have any of these resources, and so with the Friendship Center, I feel like I have the privilege to be at all of these programs. So I feel like I'm gaining a lot of knowledge from this.
The process of smoking meat was once used to prolong the life of the meat. The people on Standing Buffalo and surrounding tribes kept the smoked meat for the winter months on the prairies. For the workshop, a smokehouse was used to speed up the process, but organizers say it can still all be done with just the materials found on the nation if needed. A large portion of the day was filled with working and learning, with the rest filled with smiles, laughs, and making connections. It's something organizers hope people take home and coming back again.
Doing the seriousness of what we're doing and also laughing with that good energy, hey?
It creates positive vibes.
Yeah, it does. It's just positive here. And all the kids playing and wanting to help, so that's very important for our people.
The Niwo Yotina Friendship Center plans to continue hosting events like these.
We now want to tell you about this week's new web poll question. Over on our aptnnews.ca, we ask, will you be paying attention to what First Nations leaders are saying about their summit with Prime Minister Mark Carney? Your answers are yes or no. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca/polls to have your say. We'll also post a new web poll question tomorrow. A $200 million legacy fund in support of Indian Day School survivors was announced in Ottawa. We'll have former Senator Dan Christmas up next to tell us how significant this legacy fund will be for the Mi'kmaq. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. St. John's 22, Halifax sunny and 22. The Grand River 8, Nuujawak 8 and sunny there. 26 in Quebec City, Montreal 25. 29 in Windsor, Ottawa 29 and sunny there. Wawa rain and 17, Thunder Bay 16 and sun. Sunny in Norway House at 16, God's Lake 14. 16 in Gimli, Winnipeg 14 and sunny there. Partly cloudy in Regina at 15, Saskatoon smoky and 13. Smoky in Meadow Lake at 13, Larange 15 and sun. Fort McMurray 23 and rain, high level 26. Rain in Lethbridge at 17, Edmonton 20. 26 in Penticton, Campbell River sunny and 29. Showers in Prince Rupert at 17, Prince George 25. Mayo 17, Whitehorse partly cloudy and 16. 30 in Fort Simpson, Norman Wells, rain and 27. 26 in Nunavik, Colville Lake 20. 14 in Chesterfield, Baker Lake 10. And Arctic Bay 1, Aglulik 3. A $200 million legacy fund in support of Indian Day School survivors was launched in Ottawa last week. The fund will support healing and culture and language preservation. It's part of an overall $1.47 billion class action lawsuit settlement Former Senator Dan Christmas is a day school survivor. Dennis Ward recently spoke to Christmas, and he joins us now to talk about what the fund means for the Mi'kmaq and how healing will begin.
Dan, thanks so much for taking some time here for us today. I guess just your thoughts on how you hope the funding will help survivors in Mi'kmaq.
Well, we're planning what we call Wigabaltium. It's basically a sacred gathering, and we hope to bring together the survivors of the Indian day schools here in Cape Breton, or we call Unama'ki. But it's a little different. I suppose we could have had the event on a First Nation community, but we're having it right in the middle of the Cape Breton Regional Municipality or the City of Sydney. And we hope to invite the general public as well to join in the celebration and to join in the festivities. And what we're hoping is that it would honor the Indian day school survivors. There's been a lot of recognition for residential school survivors, but not so much for the Indian day school survivors. And we're hoping to bring them together, maybe a time to heal, to put all our experiences in the rearview mirror and to go on and heal and continue on with life in a good way.
Now, Dan, there are 4 streams of funding: healing, language, culture, commemoration, and truth-telling. Is there one that you feel is most important for you or survivors?
Yeah, I would say the healing stream. I would say that's the most important part. I think the other parts are important too, but to live in a good way today, I think we need to put this in the past. And the healing is a big part of that journey. So I hope that part continues to get a lot of recognition, and it continues to make a difference with Indian day school survivors.
I guess on that front, Dan, in terms of the money and where it will go, I guess how could it help out with some of that healing?
Well, events like this, and I'm sure there's all different kinds of events, but events like this, I think, make a difference. I think it brings closure, in the same way that residential school survivors had experienced closure. And I hope Indian day school survivors will take part in this celebration. And it's meant to be a celebration. It's meant to honor them, recognize what they've gone through as well. And I hope these kinds of events make a big difference in how we live our lives going forward.
Dan, how has the process been going for someone like yourself so far in terms of timelines, things of that nature? The timeline has been stretched out. I have to admit that. I mean, the settlement took place in 2019, if I remember correctly, and now we're 6 years later, and I still understand there's a few survivors whose claims have not been addressed. So it's been a long journey. But, if you look in hindsight, the Indian day schools were here for a long, long time, for more than a century. And that was a long time for a lot of people. So maybe the claim period isn't too bad when you put it that way. But I'd like to see this finished and done. And, let's get on with the rest of our lives. Right. Well, Dan, we sure appreciate you speaking with us about your experience, and wish you all the best there at the event happening in August in Unama'ki.
Oh, thank you, Dennis. We appreciate you covering this.
And that's your daytime newscast for this Tuesday. Dennis Ward is back for your evening newscast, including a story about the Trondeck First Nation opposed to new territorial regulations for fast approval mining projects. From all of us at APTN National News, hi miigwech masicho, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Ekse.